can hear me, you do not have anywhere better to be. Come join us as we rally here today to tell our elected leaders we got to put more money back into the SUNY system. Now that purpose to restore those budget cuts that we've been burdened with after over a decade of austerity, now that sounds like a simple purpose, but there is something deeper there. We're here to remind our elected leaders that the state budget that they're going to be crafting, that is not just an accounting document. That is a moral document. We're here to remind them that investing in SUNY, one of our state's most powerful engines of economic growth and economic opportunity, that's not just the smart thing to do, that is the right thing to do. Restoring SUNY would tell students and their families that going to college does not mean taking on crippling debt.
That's right.
It would tell all university workers who have displayed dedication, hard work, professionalism throughout, but especially over the last 2 years, that they are valued and respected. So this is the opportunity that's in front of us, and the opportunity that is in front of our elected leaders if they can seize it. It is more than just an opportunity, but a desperately needed opportunity to rebuild that engine of growth and opportunity. It is an opportunity to dispense with just the brutal, mean values of austerity and instill decency, humanity, and a commitment to our collective welfare back into our public institutions. Now, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to speak a person to his core, down to his moral core, knows that the union struggle and the struggle for social justice are one and the same. UUP statewide President Fred Kowal.
Somebody who knows me well said, be careful, I'm a klutz, and this has got a lot of potential. It's great to be here. How are y'all doing? We good? We good? Hey, I better not joke. But no, seriously, I want to thank Aaron Major for kicking this off so well. Thanks, Aaron. Let's give it up for Aaron. Yeah! We're also joined today by our two statewide, UUP statewide vice presidents, Carolyn Kuby, all the way from Stony Brook, and Alyssa Carl from Brockport, which, for those of you who don't know, is way out west, up near a big lake and stuff. And Tom Hoey, who's all the way from across campus here. We also have our negotiations team. For those of you who are UUP members, they are the ones who will produce the most amazing contract in the history of UUP or in the history of contracts. Led by the great Brett Benjamin, our chief negotiator. And the way UUP does its contract is to bring in members from all across UUP's membership, 37,000 members, across the New York State and across SUNY, so that we can get the kind of contract our members deserve, but most importantly, because if we can get a contract and we can build into our lives economic justice, and that's what a contract's all about, and the fights that we go for. Because we are serving New York, we are serving our students. That's the important thing. All of us are committed to the future of each and every one of you who is a student here at Albany or anywhere in SUNY. This is about your future. So even when we fight for a contract, it's about you. We want to serve you, and we want you to be successful every day and every day. In order to be successful, though, in order for us to be able to do the work we do, and in order for you as students to succeed, the state of New York has to change the way they fund public higher education. Because what we've had for the last decade, 15 years, is not a public higher education system. It's been a private system with a little bit of public money, and that is not right. In order to change the situation, let me tell you how bad it's been for the past 15 years. Because I've been going to rallies and saying this stuff and chanting Fund SUNY now for years. It's so bad that how bad is it? Right, I was wondering. How bad is it? It's so bad that if we, as a state of New York, one of the wealthiest states in the country, but also the state with the worst disparity between the 1% and the rest of us, okay? If the state was just spending in real dollars, excluding inflation, what was being spent in 2007, the state right now would have $7 billion more in SUNY. That's billion with a B. Now, if we had that much money, a series of questions coming, so be prepared. If we had $7 billion, do you think we would have more full-time faculty and professional staff here in Albany? Yes! Do you think that the adjuncts who work, pardon my French, their asses off for poverty wages would be paid a living wage? You think? Yes! And for all the students, do you think you would have the health care, the medical care, the mental health assistance, the counseling that you need? Do you think so? Yes! That's what we're fighting for. We are fighting for what is justly deserved for all of us. This is not a case of us wanting a lot of money. Well, all we're looking for is a down payment. That's it. Basically, $250 million for SUNY. $150 million desperately needed by SUNY hospitals, where they have been on the front lines of the fight against COVID. They have kept us alive. They have done research. They have produced testing, everything we've needed. And the state hasn't done squat for the public hospitals. This year's budget, as good as Governor Hochul's budget has been in many respects, not one penny for the SUNY hospitals. These are public hospitals. How can you not put money into a public hospital? Yes, boo! Boo loud! It's not right. We need the funding for those hospitals so that they can continue to treat patients, but then also train the next generation of nurses and doctors and respiratory therapists and physical therapists, everybody we need. Everybody talks about the shortage. You're not going to deal with the shortage unless you put resources into the teaching hospitals. We need that now. Next, we need funding for campuses like right here. If we can get the $100 million that we are demanding to be added to the budget, that will bring over $12 million to Albany alone. SUNY Albany. You think you need that? Is that going to be good? That's good! Now, we're already getting some. I see Patrick Romaine over here. I see some EOP students. There's more money in EOP in the budget, and that's great. We fought for that. Yeah. But if we don't get operating aid, if we don't get the $100 million, the increases to EOP won't matter. It's needed in all areas of this campus so that students can succeed. So remember, what we're asking for, what we're demanding of our state legislature and our governor is a down payment on that $7 billion they owe us. And hopefully the money won't blow away. But it's more than that. And on the early chant, I was trying to come up with a way of working justice in. Because that's what it's about. What SUNY can do better than any other institution in this state, and if the governor's right, the whole country, is create the means by which those who have not had the opportunity can enter the middle class, be economically successful, but more importantly, be citizens of this world at a time when they are desperately needed. We need you, those of you who are students right now, we who have been around a long time and screwed up this planet, but good, need you. We need you to provide us the means to deal with the climate crisis that is here and it is destroying lives and the planet. We need you so that we can address racism that is endemic in our society and around the world. And we need you so that we can learn how to defend democracy against autocrats who attack peaceful countries and people do almost nothing about it. Or in this country, when democracy is attacked by a president or a former president and seems to get away with it. This is what we need, y'all, who are students, and that's why we're fighting for this money. It's a down payment on your future, our future. It's a down payment on hope. Are we going to win this time? Yeah! It's not loud enough. They need to hear us downtown. Are we going to win? Yeah! Are we? Yeah! Excellent. Thanks a lot. Aaron, back to you.
All right, this is one of my favorite things that I get to do when we have these events, and that is not only recognize the students who work so hard for all the things that Fred was just talking about, but actually get a chance to come up and tell us what's important to them. First, I want to recognize a couple of folks. I want to recognize Dylan Klein, who represents the SUNY SA as their legislative director. SUNY SA has been phenomenal in doing the work advocating for all the SUNY campuses with the legislature. I want to recognize your own UAlbany, Alyssa Kamara. Alyssa has been fantastic through UAlbany SA, getting the word out to students, helping organize this event with me. Just fantastic to work with. But right now I'd like to invite up to speak Daquial. He's the president of the Campus Pride Alliance and Minorities in Philosophy. Ivan, come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daquial. I use he, they pronouns. I'm the president of Minorities in Philosophy and Pride Alliance, and I was also the co-founder of the Association of Southeast Asian Students on campus. And I decided to start with listing down my affiliations on campus because I wanted to highlight just how much gap we had to fill in the past few years because we didn't have enough programs for specific communities that are just as important and just as insightful for academic, scholarly, and other work in universities, in the SUNY system especially. If there are no organizations on campus, an example for Southeast Asian students, then there would not be conversations for important topics, especially in the heightening conflicts in the West Philippine Sea, or what they call now South China Sea. That is very stressful for a lot of my peers that have actually caused a lot of us to take breaks for a few months from academics. And I want to talk about this as openly as I can because these are real stories that are not mentioned enough in movements such as this. The stories of students that are taking their time away from the things that they're supposed to be doing and they're paying thousands and thousands of dollars for and not actually be doing those things in an excellent and optimal manner. I also wanted to highlight the stories of international students and those that are non-eligible for FAFSA, that they deserve just as much financial and direct support from the institutions across the state, and they deserve to be fostered and cultured into excellent academic and leaders in their specific fields as well. In Student Association Senate, when I came in, there were less than 5 Asian student leaders that were able to get in and talk about these important topics. We amended the Constitution to add 2 international students to the Senate. And we need to do these kinds of things in all kinds of unions, of movements, of initiatives that involve those people. The people that are directly impacted, the people that are most affected by these adverse experiences. My first headache from this university was in 2018. That was 2 years after I moved here from the Philippines. I moved here from the Philippines due to a lot of issues, and I had to face a dilemma of going back home because I couldn't afford college. Thankfully, a vice president from the administration was graceful and very helpful in finding me private scholarships endowed to the university. We should not be depending on rich people for the basic rights to education. My parents, my sisters, my aunts and uncles are all paying thousands and thousands of dollars into this state just for their offsprings, for my cousins and I, to take out loans, to face the dilemma of not being able to afford college, to work jobs while we are in college. The expectations imposed on us are way too high and not proportional to the support that we are receiving. It's irrational, it's stupid. And so I ask the crowd here today, raise your hand if you think $250 million is just enough to increase the funding for SUNY system. If you want more, raise your hand if you want more. All right, for the assembly members here, don't raise your hand, raise the fund. Raise the fund downtown. We're right here, we're watching you, we're in your front yard. You're embarrassing. And I wanted to speak on the aforementioned shortage for nurses that I personally have emotional attachment to this issue. In the past COVID-19 pandemic, there were an influx of Filipino nurses that were sponsored visas to go into the United States to work in the hospitals, especially in remote areas. They passed away at high disproportional rates. And this is highly also because we do not have enough and affordable, especially accessible, education resources for healthcare workers in the United States, especially in New York State. We are highly dense. People are dying trying to help the people that we are not funding. That's it. Thank you. I had to think about that. I was
Thank you. All right, so now it's my pleasure to recognize one of UAlbany's own or former own, Owusu Anane from the Albany Common Council, UAlbany grad EOP.
Thank you. Yes. I am excited to be here with you all to send a message to the legislature and to the governor. Our message is clear. Restore opportunity. Let's give opportunity to all in our state. My name is Owusu Anane. I'm a councilman here in the city of Albany, but I'm also a proud graduate of the University of Albany. Yes, and it's always good to be back on campus. This university and the SUNY system offered me so much opportunities. And that would not be possible without tuition assistance and also EOP. I stand here with you all calling a real investment to ensure that students are receiving the funds that they need to achieve their goal. The time is now. The time is now to fund SUNYs all across our state. I can tell you firsthand, if it wasn't for this university, I wouldn't have landed an internship at the state capitol. I wouldn't have landed a job after graduating. I wouldn't have been elected as a common council member in the city of Albany. SUNY Albany did that, and it's all because of EOP and tuition assistance. Now, as an elected official, I see the real investment that SUNY Albany students deliver for our communities. As a councilor for Pine Hills neighborhood, our students patronize the small businesses, they create their own businesses, they hire people within the city, the economic up that they provide to our city is unparalleled and it's unmatched, and that's why we have to continue to fund and restore SUNY funding moving forward. And quite frankly, with that amount of impact, it is clear that the city of Albany's success depends on SUNY Albany's success. Let me repeat that. That amount of success here in our city depends on SUNY Albany assistance. And we need to work together. And by working together, we need to fund our SUNY systems. Lastly, I want you all to believe in yourself. I know it's cold and this might be a small group compared to others, but you are making a difference, not just for yourself, but also for the next generation. For those who cannot be with us, you are advocating for them so they can have an opportunity. So keep up the fight, believe in yourself, let's keep on marching, let's keep on agitating, we're gonna keep on legislating. We will not rest until the legislature and the governor restore SUNY funding. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and then also representing the people here and joining us today, Kenny Burgos, Assemblymember Kenny Burgos here, another UAlbany alum. Here to say a few words.
I'll assume this is the podium up here. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for having me here today. I want to thank the president, I want to thank the faculty, and I want to thank the students who are out here today. It was only about 6 years ago that I was here podiating, and now I'm standing with you all as a proud legislator. I represent the Bronx, I represent the Soundview community, but I also represent Albany and my UA alum right here. We're standing here today for a small amount of change. I'm a first-term legislator, but I'm on my second budget, and it's been a stark contrast to these two budgets. Last year, at the height of the pandemic, we were worried if we can fund some of the most basic necessities for New Yorkers. We were worried we'd have to make cuts, and we never want to do that because we know it hurts the most vulnerable. Now this year, from what I'm being told from my colleagues and from what I'm seeing myself, we're hearing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. New York State is flushed with cash, flushed with it. We have a balanced budget for the next 5 years. We have never done that in decades. So today I'm standing with you asking for $250 million out of a $213 billion budget. That's not, I mean, it's peanuts in comparison to what we passed. I wouldn't be standing before you today if it were not for this university. I wouldn't be standing before you today if it were not for all of you, the faculty and staff who work here day in and day out, who work throughout the pandemic, who put so many students on a higher platform, who put so many students from inner cities, from New York City, from my community, myself included, a first generation college grad. We know higher education is the pathway out of poverty. We know higher education transforms communities, families, and lives, and yet right now we're talking about, can we afford $250 million more? We can do it. So I'm here standing with you, proud, and I'm supporting you. I'm an assemblyman. I will go to conference. I will be down there negotiating with governors to make sure we bring $250 million and more back to SUNY. We're going to fund cities. We're going to fund futures. We're going to fund the faculty. We're going to make sure students and faculty have a promising future. So thank you so much for having me here today.